Derby County seem to be edging closer to investment over the course of the end of this season. But who will take over the club, and will it be just a potential financial investment, or will it be a consistent thing? Obviously, we know back in the summer, David Clowes made it clear that he was willing to sell up to 80% of his controlling stake in Derby County. But who is going to want to keep on the previous owner? David Clowes also wanted to hold on to a chairman position, but is that something that he'll be able to do if a new ownership group came in? Now, obviously for Derby County, there's loads of positives and loads of negatives for them heading into a potential investment deal, and hopefully David Clowes is well on top of those right now. Obviously, these conversations will be going on behind closed doors, and something which we won't be privy to until a deal is close, whether it goes into exclusive stages or is finalised. And that's something which is really important for Derby County for me, because it's really important that we don't know anything. It's really good that those people who are potentially having those conversations haven't been yet released to the public, because that's where you can start to have real problems, where you've got fans sort of trying to push it to get it over the line quicker than it needs to happen. And realistically, there's nothing we can do with investment until June, July anyway. So it's really important that David Clowes gets that deal done by then, but it doesn't need to be forced through. He has plenty of time to make a deal work, and I certainly believe that he'll be making sure Derby County get the best deal for the club. Now, obviously, as we head into this summer transfer window, we know there's going to be huge clamour for a rebuild at Derby County. When you look at the squad depth options that are available headed into the 25-26 season at the moment, the squad doesn't look anywhere near good enough. But obviously, that can all be changed with a little bit of money that could potentially be splashed. Now, obviously, we know in the January transfer window, David Clowes had deals agreed for players up to and around £10 million, which was never spent for a range of different reasons. Players turning down the club due to play style and poor warn, and other factors. Now, obviously, if we bring in more money, does that 10 million come back into the pot in the summer transfer window? I absolutely believe it should do. Derby County are going to lose a lot of players to free contracts this summer, which will open up that wage bill massively. And having the investment, whether it be from David Clowes or alternative sources, is going to be absolutely massive for the future of this football club. And in my personal opinion, if you look at the way John Eustace has got Derby County playing over the course of the last couple of games, it certainly could be a positive season for Derby next season. Whether that be a playoff push or even a stable mid-table finish in the Championship, John Eustace is going to need investment. Obviously, there is still that it's not even minor, we're still sat in the relegation zone as recording this video, so there is still the opportunity that Derby County could go down. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that any investment deal is quality enough to help us in any division, whether that be the Championship or League One, because no matter what happens, John Eustace is going to need funding, and Derby County are going to have to push forward with it. And the thing is, for me, as much as I love and respect David Clowes, there's never been true footballing ability on that board. And obviously there's talk now of adding Patrick Debois from Cardiff City, but ultimately it's a little bit too late for that, and it should have been done a lot sooner. Now, Derby County have probably been talking to Debois for a long time before it even became public knowledge, but that's something for me which should have been done weeks after David Clowes took over. Obviously the focus was building a squad and making sure Rosenior was happy with what he had, but obviously then a few weeks down the line, to get rid of Rosenior, bring in Paul Warne, it was a decision which sort of felt a little bit on edge. Now, having proper footballing board, they may have been able to make a decision on the manager before the season even started, while still bringing in players. And that's something which needs to be addressed for Derby County when new investment comes in, whether it be a full takeover of 80% or a full takeover of 100%. It's really important that they get the people on the board right, because that can make or break a club. Now, for Derby County, a massive thing about investment will be making sure we can tie our current squad down to new contracts. The likes of Kane Wilson, the likes of Liam Thompson, the likes of Matt Clark, and maybe even Craig Forsyth should all be due new contracts this summer, given their performances, not just over the course of the last few weeks, but also some of them over the course of the season. Now, obviously, there's a lot of negatives that come with a potential takeover too, and we cannot ignore them. Obviously, Derby County could fall into the hands of the wrong group. They could absolutely spend money willy-nilly on the wrong players, the wrong type of player, and we could end up back in a situation like we were under Mel Morris. Now, personally, I don't believe that David Clowes will allow this to happen. That's personally one of the reasons why I believe he wants to keep that 20% stake, so he can keep a hand in all the meetings and all the books to know exactly what is going on, while also understanding the relationship between Derby County and between other clubs in the Football League and across the world. It's really important to make sure, in my opinion, that David Clowes does still stay within those meetings, because as much as I do believe he's made some poor decisions over the course of his ownership period so far, I do believe he has the best intentions for Derby County. And ultimately, I do think that if he's sat at the table, he won't let something go wrong. And if it was to go wrong, I do believe that he would put the money back in to get Derby County back out of the shit. Now, obviously, the massive thing about investment and things like that is that it might all be temporary. It might just be one cash injection from one person. There's no guarantees that it's going to be a consistent cash injection or a consistent ownership model. And that's something that Derby County have to prepare for. In my opinion, I do believe that whoever David Clowes lets put money into the club or lets themselves take over some sort of ownership, I do believe that David Clowes will make sure it's the right person, but that has to be airtight. There has to be so many things put in these contracts for an investment period for Derby County to make sure that we don't end up in the situation we were in back in 2021, 2022, under Wayne Rooney, under Liam Rosenior, unable to register players, unable to allow under 21s to play games of football. We just can't let that happen again. And it's really, really disappointing that had to happen to Derby County. But obviously, as we head towards the summer, at the moment, it's looking quite positive. As I say, as I'm recording this video, we're 1 point outside of safety with, I think it's 9 games to go. We face Plymouth Argyle at the weekend, but as you're watching this video, that game will have been played. So let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments. There's obviously a lot that can come from that game. If Derby County go and win that game, Derby County could find themselves out of the drop zone for the first time since, I believe, the start of February, middle of February maybe, which is an absolutely massive change for Derby County. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were 7 points away from safety, but right now we're just a point away. It's a massive, massive moment in the club's history because I believe that any takeover deal and party that is at the table will be wanting Derby County to stay in the Championship, as that then puts you one good season away from £100 million of TV revenue, if not more these days, given the changes in the TV money. So it's massive for Derby County that we get these deals over the line, that we get the right people in, so that if Derby County do happen to have that opportunity to get into the Premier League, we can get to a January and improve the squad. We know that one of the reasons why John Eustace left Blackburn Rovers was despite the fact of selling over £40 million worth of players over the course of the last few years, they only spent about £1.5 million this season. And that isn't good enough. Not when you're pushing for the playoffs. And now we see Valerian Ismail struggling with that team as well as of right now as I'm recording this video. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what does happen for Derby County over the course of the next few weeks. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content. Now, as you're watching this video, I am currently away on holiday. That's why some of these videos are recorded in advance and not with the Plymouth Argyle game involved. But obviously, let me know your thoughts on everything going on for Derby County down in the comments.